Well, hi everyone. I hope everyone is doing good today. There's a lot to cover today, but overall, if you remember what we discussed the previous week, um, we discussed a lot of material in our last meeting in regards to the Beatitudes. We were talking about the ancient world, and we ended the ethics of the ancient world, and now we're going to be talking about other type of ethics in the early modern period or the medieval period. So medieval Aquinas is during the medieval ages. So I think he's from the 12th century, and Kant is from the early modern period. He's from the 18th century. So I'm going to give you two ethics that are not from the ancient world. And we're going to start with Kant. Um, and Kant is a pretty famous figure, and he also obviously contributed to ethics. And he his type of ethics is talking about what they call the categorical imperative. And it's a quite interesting way of looking at ethics, which is overall suggesting that there are particular things, right, when it comes to morality, that ought not to be done in any circumstances. So here I have on the PowerPoint, I have two types of imperative. And the first one, and the first bullet point, is called the hypothetical imperative. And this one is just overall telling us what we should do if we have certain desires. For example, if you need money, you're going to work for it. If you want orange juice, you're going to ask for it. Well, we should obey such imperatives only with desire the outcome specified. So if you want good grades, right, the hypothetical imperative is that you're going to study as much as you can in order to receive good grades. So it's based on your desire when it comes to hypothetical imperatives, right? So it depends on the circumstance and it depends on what you need, right, to get things done. But when it comes to categorical imperative, there's no dependence on situations. Categorical imperatives overall suggest that things, when it comes to morality, should always pertain to every circumstance. For instance, killing or murder is wrong in any circumstances. Right? So Kant wants to go against, let's say, the um, how you call the electric chair, right? When you're killing someone, he's against someone dying or someone being killed by society, even if they're murderers, even if they're rapists, even if they're the most evil person in the world. Kant wants to say that killing someone is always wrong in any circumstance. The same thing with lying. Lying for Kant is wrong in all circumstances. So consider this situation. Consider you live in a time of during World War II when the Germans, the Nazi Germany, was in power, and the law, and they say is to say if Jews are if you find yourself some Jews, you have to tell if you know what these particular people are. And you find them in a particular location, you can't lie about it. So suppose you hide them in your house, right? And you put them in your attic. And Nazi Germans come to your door and knock on your door, and they ask you, "Are you hiding Germans? I mean, are you hiding Jews?" And according to Kant, you can't lie. You have to say the truth. You can't say, "Oh, they're not here. I'm not hiding anyone." No, according to Kant, you have to say the truth because when it comes to morality, morality must be the same in all circumstances. There's no wiggle room. You have to say the truth in all case scenarios. So in this case, if you find yourself hiding Jews and someone asks you during this time, asks you if you should say a lie or not, well, Kant wants to say you have to say the truth. Because you saying the truth, you're doing your duty or your due diligence of being a moral person. Whatever someone does with the information of you saying the truth is up to them what they do with that information. So if the Jews end up if the Germans end up taking the Jews or killing them, That's not your fault because you're not the one that's pulling the trigger. You're not the one that's causing it. You overall are being the moral person, according to Kant, saying the truth. The one that's committing the immoral action is the individuals who are committing the killing act. So what Kant wants to say is that when it comes to morality, it has to be in all case scenarios that the moral action has to be displayed or has to be done. Murder is wrong in all case scenarios. Lying is wrong in all case scenarios. Stealing is wrong in all case scenarios. There is no wiggle room or no circumstance in which you can murder, kill, steal, or lie. Ethics is the same in all case scenarios according to Kant. And then the other thing he wants to say, Kant, is that you shouldn't treat people as it means to an end, as in using people to get what you want. Kant wants to also say in regards to ethics is that you should always assist human beings and help human beings and treat them as people or human beings rather than treating them as something that you can use to, let's say, climb the economic ladder or to use in order to get what you want. You shouldn't use people according to Kant. You should always help individuals get to the goal that they want to obtain. So this is overall Kant's categorical imperative, and Aquinas has a quite different take on ethics. In Aquinas' understanding, there's this principle which he calls the principle of double effect, and this principle pertains to situations in which an action has both good and bad effects. It says that performing a good action may be permissible even if it has bad effects. But performing a bad action for the purpose of achieving good effects is never permissible. So more formally, in a traditional interpretation of the doctrine, an action is permissible if four conditions are met. And these are the four conditions. The first one is the action is inherently, without reference to consequences, either morally good or morally neutral. That is, the action itself must at least be morally permissible. Second one is the bad effect is not used to produce the good effect. In parentheses, though the bad may be a side effect of the good. Killing a fetus to save the mother's life is never permissible. However, using a drug to cure the mother's life threatening disease, even though the fetus dies as a side effect of the treatment, may be permissible. The intention must always be to bring about the good effect for any given action. The bad effect may occur and it may even be foreseen, but it must not be intended. And number four, the good effect must be at least as important as the bad effect. The good of an action must be proportional to the bad. If the bad heavily outweighs the good, the action is not permissible. The good of saving your own life is an act of self-defense, for example, must be at least as great as the bad of taking the life of your attacker. So let me explain. So in Aquinas' double effect theory, right, let's use World War II again, because World War II have great examples when it comes to ethics. Right? The bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Aquinas wants to say that action of bombing Nagasaki and Hiroshima is not permitted. It shouldn't be done because you're using a bad effect to produce a good effect. The bad effect is killing these millions, right, of people in order to save also millions of people over here. So Aquinas wants to say bad effects for the sake of causing good effects should not be the case. You shouldn't use something bad to achieve something good. Instead, what you should do is do the good, do that which is moral, and even if it were to produce something bad, it is always better to do the good, and then if it results in something bad, it is the best thing to do instead of starting from the bad and then it equals to the good, right? So Aquinas wants to say, for instance, abortion, right? If the mom or the fetus dies, Aquinas says that, well, the neutral aspect here is that both of them are going to die if you don't make a decision. right? In order to avoid the worst consequence, which is both of them dying, because if something is not done, both of them are going to pass away, the mom and the fetus. In order to avoid this bad situation, this neutral situation in which something is going to happen either or, if you were to save the mom and the fetus dies, then it's not a wrong thing according to Aquinas. Because even though you are saving a life, right, this good effect, and it produces a bad effect in which the fetus dies, Aquinas wants to say it's still something good that's coming from that, and you're still saving a particular life, although it still has a bad effect. You're still saving someone. Okay, the same, but now the opposite is like if you bomb in Hiroshima, you started with a bad effect in order to produce a good effect, right? So he doesn't want to say that you should do that. He doesn't want you to start from the bad to produce something good. Rather, he wants you to start from the good in order to, and instead of, he wants you to start with the good and then produce something bad, right? It's situations that are quite difficult to make a decision. So abortion is one example. And then Hiroshima, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is another example. So overall, he wants to say, start with the good, even though it has bad effects. Never start with the bad effects in order to result into something good. So these are two different positions when it comes to ethics. One is Kant's, right, the ontology, and the other one is Aquinas's double doctrine effect. Both quite different, but they're very famous when it comes to early modern and late medieval ethics. So yeah, so if you have any questions in regards to these two types of ethics, please send me an email and I'll be happy to clarify some things. But thank you, and I'll see you next time.